Wow. Somebody's ready to go this morning. Maybe I don't really have to even do a vlog today. Mr. Goose over here has more to say than I do. Look at him strutting his stuff there. You go, Mr. Goose. You go. And second day in a row of showing the weather and having it be cloudy and just overcast like this. It's been like this all week, all weekend. Not fun. But that's okay. We're going into work and we'll see what we can pull off tonight for an adventure. Oh my gosh. Do you guys notice anything weird about this sky we are looking at right now? There is no moon. The moon is usually right about there in the center of the camera, and it is not. I think we have enough information to start a conspiracy theory that the moon does not exist. It's just as logical as the flat earth theory, I think. And look, even if I pan all the way over here, no moon, no moon, no moon. Do you guys see any moon? That's right, because it does not exist. Well, hello there, and welcome to another beautiful night for an adventure from the couch here on Tommy Travels the Second. And this could be a night chat where we talk about something scary or spooky or freaky. But it's not. I'm in a good mood tonight, so I just want to keep things very lighthearted. And I'm kind of in a nostalgic mood, so the topic of the evening is going to be TV shows from when I was a kid, growing up in the 70s or 80s. The ones that made an impression on me, the ones that I couldn't miss, the ones that I really loved. And so if you are brand new to this channel, go ahead and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on a thing. And I will see you right after this. I'm going to get the conversation rolling tonight with my very first memory of a TV show that I liked when I was a kid. A lot of kids, when they were very young, they liked Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, but I liked those shows too, especially Sesame Street, but really that wasn't my big show back then when I was 2-3 years old. My favorite was a guy named Captain Kangaroo. He had the big red suit with the white stripes, and there was Mr. Green Jeans and Morris the Moose on there. And it was just a great show for me to watch when I was a kid, and I loved Captain Kangaroo. So much so that my parents got me a little Captain Kangaroo doll. It was one of those dolls where you pull the string and it talks, and you'd pull the string one time and it would say, "Always remember to say please and thank you." And then if you pulled the string again, it would say, "Always remember to look both ways before crossing the street." And I loved that doll. I would sleep with it in my bed. He was my comfy security blanket, basically. He was my security Captain Kangaroo. And I just used to adore that show. And it seems like he never really became as popular as Mr. Rogers, who's a household name, and obviously Sesame Street has been around for generations. And but Captain Kangaroo, he was my show right there. Now fast forward a few years, and in my days, every kid loved cartoons, and if you wanted to see them, you'd have to get up very early on a Saturday morning. And that was one of my favorite times of the week, is Saturday morning cartoons. On a Saturday, I was a young kid and I would get up at 6 a.m. to watch those cartoons. And I remember Super Friends would start off the morning and watch Superman, Batman, and Robin, Wonder Woman, catch some bad guys, and fight some monsters, and all sorts of fun things like that. And then that would just roll into Looney Tunes, where we could watch Bugs Bunny and Tweety Bird and Tasmanian Devil, and then Scooby-Doo would be on, and we'd watch that gang, see what they're up to. All sorts of Saturday morning fun cartoons. And I think those lasted for about 4 hours or so. There was plenty of them to watch, and all of them were my favorites. And then even the commercials were fun because Ronald McDonald was in the really popular back then doing the McDonald commercials and all the G.I. Joe commercials and toys and different things. It was all geared towards us. The cereal commercials, everything about Saturday morning cartoons was just fun, and it is to this day a very fun nostalgic memory. And then another big show for me when I was a kid was Happy Days. What a beautiful show that was. You know, it's just so wholesome compared to what you see on TV today. Just a great family following Richie and Potsy and Ralph Malph. And they'd get themselves into some sort of a jam, and by the end of it, Fonzie would show up and save the day. Just something so cool about Fonzie. You know, he'd just hit that little jukebox and the songs would come on, and just a great show. And I remember the show where he went out and jumped you think I'm going to say shark, but it was actually way before that, where he jumped the garbage cans. And they set that up in a way where it was the season finale, and then we had to wait a whole summer to find out if he made the jump or not. That's how TV was back then. You couldn't just binge watch through things. You had to wait to see, is Fonzie going to make the jump? Oh my gosh. To be continued, the bane of every child's existence, because the TV shows would pull stuff like that every season. And incidentally, Fonzie did make that jump, and he was A-OK. As a kid, I was too young and naive to think about, what are the writers going to do? Kill off the Fonz? That would not have been a smart move. There would have been pandemonium in the streets from kids 8 to 18. And before I move on to my number one show of the evening, I'm going to give some real quick shout outs to some honorable mentions. Some shows that I really did like as I was a kid, but they didn't reach to the number one spot. And that is shows like The Twilight Zone. Probably the only show that ever scared me as a kid. Great show, classic, and that's why it's still run to this day, and they still keep trying to make remakes of it, including one that's going on right now from CBS. The Brady Bunch. My gosh, I watched so much Brady Bunch as a kid. I think I saw every episode about 5 times. HGTV actually bought the Brady Bunch house, which was not even a 2-story house, but they're going to turn it into a 2-story house and make it look exactly like the Brady Bunch house from the TV show on the inside, which is weird because it looked nothing like that on the inside. So they're doing a complete gut and remodel job and forcing the Brady Bunch set that was filmed in Hollywood basically inside of this house. And I don't know what they're going to do with it when it's done, but they've got the Brady Bunch kids in there helping with different projects on HGTV. So that should be interesting to see how that develops. Also shows like The A-Team. Loved it. Loved seeing those guys work together and just put random things together and come out with a tank. It was beautiful. The Facts of Life and Different Strokes. Those theme songs were both written by Alan Thicke. Little known fact. Or maybe very well known fact, but nevertheless, Alan Thicke responsible for those TV theme songs. So those are just a few of them that I really did like as well. And now we're going to move on to the number one show. And now, the number one show of the night. And this comes in at number one because it was really more of an event than it was a show. I remember we would get out of school on a Friday night, the start of a weekend, and we'd be outside playing, shooting hoops or throwing the ball around, doing whatever fun stuff us kids were up to, and then 7:55 would roll around and you'd hear some kid yell, "The Dukes are on!" And of course they were talking about the Dukes of Hazzard. And you'd see a whole street full of kids go scurrying into the house. And for the next hour, we were all inside watching the Dukes of Hazzard. And it was just a fun, wholesome show with Bo and Luke Duke and Daisy and Uncle Jesse. And then they'd be chased around by Boss Hogg and Roscoe Pico Train. And sometimes we'd think the Dukes were going to get caught and get into big trouble, but they'd always somehow sneak their way out of it. And the car would go up on a jump and stop, and then we'd go into commercial. But before they go to the commercial, we'd hear Waylon Jennings, the narrator, say, "Well, this is a fine mess the Dukes have gotten themselves into. Y'all come back now here." And then we'd go to the commercial and then come back and you'd say, "Wahoo!" And they'd land the jump just perfectly. Just a thing of a beauty for us kids back in the day, and that is the number one show of the evening. Well, this has been another successful adventure here from the couch on Tommy Travels the Second. We've been talking about TV shows, nostalgic TV shows, the ones that make you feel good inside when you think about watching them when you were a kid. And if you have some that I haven't mentioned here, please go ahead and leave a comment below because I would love to hear about it. And I probably like that show as well, but probably not as much as the Dukes of Hazzard. And if you guys liked what you saw here today, go ahead and hit like on my YouTube channel. While you're at it, go ahead and hit subscribe and the little bell notification next to it so you can be the first to know when a new adventure comes out. And thank you guys so much for the support that you've given me so far. And until next time, I hope to catch you on the flip side.
Ha!